Hello gals and guys, Mr. Ambrose here, just to record a quick video on one of these examples, example number 3 of sketching a cosine curve. So here we're told to sketch one full cycle of the curve with this equation on the axis provided. And as I mentioned on my cosine video, I'm going to use the acronym AFPI to set everything up. So I'll start with my A, which in this case is the number in front of the cosine function, which is 2. And as I mentioned in the cosine video, I'm going to multiply that 2 by the key points that are on the cosine function, those key numbers. And those numbers are 1, 0, -1, 0, and 1. And so I multiply 2 into each of these numbers, and we get 2, 0, -2, 0, and 2. So on the sine function graphs, when we did those, this was our y values, but unfortunately in this particular problem, we have here this +3, which causes a vertical shift up in our graph of our cosine curve. And so what I'm now going to do is, to each of these y values, I will add 3 to each of those y values. And so doing that, I'll do it one at a time. 2 plus 3 gives us 5. 0 plus 3 is 3. -2 plus 3 gives us 1. 0 plus 3 gives us 3. And 2 plus 3 gives us a value of 5. And these are the values, these are the y values that I'm going to plot out for this particular graph here. And since I now know what these y values range from, I'm just going to perhaps scale my axes. And I think we can scale the y-axis by 1. The lowest y value is at 1. The middle y value is at 3. And the highest y value is at 1. So now I have my y values plotted out, and now I can continue with my AFPI acronym to help ultimately determine exactly how I'm going to scale my x-axis. So the f is our frequency, which is still the number that is being multiplied to the x, and in this problem that's pi. P is our period, which we can always calculate as 2 pi divided by our frequency, and so 2 pi divided by pi gives us just 2. And then the interval for our x-axis, we take our period of 2 and divide that by 4. And this we can reduce down. 2 over 4 reduces to 1/2. And this is how we'll scale our x-axis. And as I've done in all the problems, because of how these axes are set up, every 2 markers I'll mark off one interval. So out from the origin, this first angle here I'll mark off as 1/2, and then 1/2 units away from 1/2 would be 1, and then 1/2 units away from 1 would be 3/2, and then 1/2 units away from 3/2 would be 2. And so now that I have my x and y axes scaled, I can start plotting my points. So on the y-axis, our first y value is going to be this 5. So I'll plot that point. At the next angle of 1/2, my y value there would be 3. At my next angle of 1, my y value there also happens to be 1. At our next angle of 3/2, the y value there is 3. And at the last angle of 2, my y value there is 5. So now I have all my points plotted out, and then, as I mentioned in the video, I do my best to draw out as smooth of a curve as possible through those points. And that is the graph to this particular cosine function. So I hope this video helped out with your understanding of how to graph these cosine functions, and best of luck with the trig quiz. Take care, everyone.